How's it going, Ding Dongs? Welcome back to Ding Dong Drift. In today's video, I want to be answering a question I get asked a lot. Basically, my entire 3D modeling process. Today, I'm going to walk you through how I'm going to design 2 shift knobs for my drift car. So if you're new to 3D modeling or want to just learn maybe some tips and tricks that may have not heard of, I'm going to show you the entire process from 3D model to 3D print, completely installed in the car and ready to go. I also got a wider lens. I don't know if you can tell, but you can see a lot more of the frame, more of the car now. It's not like this anymore. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this slightly wider footage. So there's nothing wrong with my current shift knob. This is my ergo knob that I actually sell. So this is an exact mold of my hand. I squeezed a piece of clay and then I 3D scanned it and modeled this shift knob off of it. It's kind of ugly, and while drifting actually I had some misgrabs, I should say, where my hand slipped, because during quick shifts a little too big to grab onto, so I'm going to make something a little more simple for this. So let's go down to the Ding Dong domain and I'll show you guys my entire modeling process.
Alright, so here we are. Wait, oh, you're not supposed to see this. Let me close this down real quick. Nope, not supposed to see this either, or that, or this. Okay, so this is what I want to design. This is the Capsule Corp spaceship from Dragon Ball Z. I think it's obviously the perfect shape for a shift knob. It's a circle. There's not a lot of details on it. Should be pretty easy to model. So let's get back into Maya. We're going to create a sphere, obviously, and I want it to be about the size of a tennis ball. So if we look up a tennis ball, it's about 65 millimeters. So we're going to go back into Maya, type that in, 32.5 for the radius, obviously. So Maya's weird like that, and we'll let you just type in diameters. And if we look at our reference, which I'll have on the side here, the design is very simple. It's basically just 3 stripes or 4 stripes or whatever it is. So all I'm going to do is go into the front view, select about approximately where I want the stripes to be, select the whole edge loop, and then gonna go into the modeling toolkit and bevel this, because I want it to have a bit of a actual, like separation, like an actual edge there. So it's not just a color change, there's actually a little detail there. Connect the loop of faces that I just created and extrude those inwards just a little bit. And then at the top here, there's a little bit more detail. There's 2 little ridges that I want to create. Same thing, select the loop, bevel it. This one I actually want the details to be sticking out. So I'm selecting the faces around the loop, and then extruding those so that the details stick out a little bit. So now we're going to move on to the next big detail, which is the windows. Again, just create a sphere that looks about the right size, just referencing my reference image, place it where I want it, and then I'm going to flatten it a little bit because I obviously don't want these huge bulges sticking out. I'm going to set the pivot of the object in the center. Then I have to figure out what I want the spacing of the glass to be, because obviously I don't know how many there are. Basically move it to where I want it, pick the closest degree that divides 360 evenly, which is 30. Then I'm going to go into edit, duplicate special, type in the degrees, and then you divide 360 by your degrees to get how many duplicates you want. And there we go, we have a full circle and they're all exactly in the same spot. So you can see they're not exactly in the right position. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to rotate them so that they line up with the faces just how I want. You can see I'm not moving the object, I'm moving the faces, because this won't change the center pivot then. Position of the pivot. So now I'm going to find the center line of this sphere so that I could create a frame around the windows. Once I have all the faces selected, I just extrude them and enlarge, and there we go. The frame around the windows is created. Simple as that. Now we can run the duplicate special again, and all the windows are almost basically done. Next up, I'm gonna do the engine. I can't actually do it exactly like the Dragon Ball Z one, because of the Dragon Ball Z one, there's this huge overhang. So I'm just going to do like a engine looking thing for ease of printing. I don't want to use a bunch of support material for no reason. Just extruding a bunch of edges, making a little platform. Then I like to bevel all the edges so they're nice and smooth. Beveled edges look way nicer than super sharp edges on a 3D print. So next thing we got to do is make the door. So I'm going to start with a cube. I'm going to make it about the size that I think the door is supposed to be. Then I'm going to bevel the top edges to create a round shape, just like the door has. Then add a bunch of segments to smooth it out. And I select the vertices and make it about the correct size. You can see it overlaps both of the white areas. Then I bring it forward, and now we're gonna have to curve it somehow. There's a much easier way to shape something. I'm gonna use a Boolean, and then I'm gonna use the intersection of that Boolean to create the door. See that? The intersection between that cube and sphere created this shape. So now all I have to do is delete these edges actually. And there we go. The door is done. It's that easy. No bending of anything, no moving vertices around. Just the exact shape created from a Boolean. I think Booleans, if you don't know how to use Booleans, they may be called something else in your program of choice, but Booleans or intersections or whatever, super awesome way to model. So now I gotta make the frame around the door. There's like a little edge around the door. So you see I'm not able to select this loop because the geometry is all sorts of messed up. So what I'm actually gonna do is going to select all of the edges behind the intersection, which will give me just a clean face, and then I can extrude a brand new loop of faces. And then close up the hole, and now I can select the whole loop of faces easily. However, I ran into a small problem. You can see I forgot to delete these faces right here. So I have to delete them now, and then delete the extrusion that I made. So now I can select the whole edge loop, extrude it, and it should work a lot better now. So now it'll be super easy to select the whole loop of faces, extrude it, and then all I have to do is move a couple edges, flatten them out just to make the right shape. And I select the new loop of faces and extrude those. Super simple process. And of course, you gotta bevel the edges because it looks nice. So the last thing we gotta do is the text. And I thought I could import another thing that I made the Capsule Corp logo for, but I didn't realize the text is curved, so I had to scrap this idea and recreate the text from scratch. Luckily, Maya makes it super easy to make text. Literally just create text or type or whatever, and then just type in Capsule Corp, and this font is close enough, honestly. Then create the Corp text and scale it properly. So because I want this text to actually wrap around the sphere and not just look like a projection on the sphere, there's a slight difference. There'll be some skewing if I just did the same thing like I did with the door. So in this case, we're going to use a non-linear bend. If you're going to do this with text, you need to make sure it has a decent amount of divisions. Otherwise, it will look a little weird and ugly. So you can see I added a little bit of a bend, and you can see the bend axis does not line up, so you got to rotate it sometimes. So if I go in the right view, I can actually just match the bend to the exact curve of the sphere, and it will match the text exactly to the curve of the shift knob itself. So do it for one axis, and then I'm going to do it for the horizontal axis as well. Same thing, just match the curve to the shift knob. However, I made the mistake of not scaling the text correctly before doing the bends, because now when I scale the text down, the curve also scales down and no longer matches. So I have to undo all of what I just did and then scale the text down before I do the bends. After a bunch of finagling, I finally got the text to line up exactly how I want. I actually ended up doing 3 bends because, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes stuff just doesn't work out. So now to make the text perfectly flush in the sphere, I have to duplicate the text, then we duplicate the sphere, and then we do a Boolean difference where the text cuts a hole in the sphere, and then I do a Boolean intersection, and that makes the text perfectly flush with the sphere. See that? It's not sticking out, it's not indented, it's just perfectly flush with the surface. And now I go through and select all the faces that I want to be certain colors and then extract them from the sphere, because when we import into Bambu Lab, it wants different color objects to be different parts. And I'll show you that when we get to Bambu Lab Slicer. So just select the faces, go to Edit Mesh, Extract, and that basically removes the faces from that object. You can also just duplicate and delete, but I like to just use Extract. Now what I have to do is close up all the holes. So I just do a extrude and then merge to center on all the edges. So extrude, merge to center, extrude, merge to center. I like to do that instead of fill hole and cleanup, because the cleanup tends to create some wonky geometry. So I like the clean geometry of merge to center. So now I have to go through and separate the window frames from the windows using the same method I did with the other pieces, and then do the same thing, create booleans of all of them. I'm just gonna skip and forward through this because it's quite a long process, and I kept messing up some stuff. I had to do some cleanup. You want the shapes sticking out or different colors to actually be indented into the object a little bit. So as I go through the time lapse, you'll see I'm extruding and having the pieces go inside the object a little bit, so they're actually anchored in the filament and not just sitting on the edge of it. Sometimes if you have objects do something weird like this, where they rotate what seems like the wrong axis, or you see how it's skewing, usually it's because the object is inside of some group or something. So you could just select everything, hit Shift P, and that will ungroup or unparent every object that you have selected. This usually happens when you do extractions or duplicates of faces and stuff. Whenever you do an extract, it puts the original object and the extracted object in a folder together, you know, for organization, but it also skews and messes up with transforms and all sorts of stuff. So just keep that in mind. So now I imported one of my older shift knobs that has clean geometry, 'cause some of them don't. And this one, over the years, I have figured out the exact taper to to have a tight fit on threads, because I don't print threads. Printing threads is pretty much pointless. They always just either strip out or break. So I just let the bolt or whatever you're screwing into form the threads. But you have to have a taper, because otherwise the threads will loosen over time with heat cycles and you grabbing the shift knob and stuff. So I have an 8mm entrance, because this is going in an M8 bolt, and then you could see the taper. It's very gradual. I think it goes down to like a 7.8, 7.7, can't remember exactly. Play with it, see what works for you, see how much thread you want, blah blah blah. Trial and error, you'll figure it out. Same thing, just gonna use this shape to create a boolean. Using the difference function, and that cuts a hole in the object, and we have our threads. But you can see, since we have the separate objects for the separate colors now, I have to do it multiple times. So once all of that is done, I can now combine the entire object into a single mesh, because you can't export STLs. You can't select multiple objects and export as an STL. It will only select the first one in the selection. It's weird. I don't know why STLs are like that. So you have to combine the whole entire object.
All right, let's talk about 3D printers. You guys know I love my Bambu Lab printers. So when Bambu Lab emailed me asking me if they could send me a Bambu Lab X1 Carbon, I really had to think about where my channel. I'm just kidding. They sent me another one. I haven't turned this thing on yet. Obviously I unpacked it. I took all the packaging out of here and I have it ready. Let's turn it on, go through the process, set up. I'll show you how easy it is to use one of these. All right, I'm gonna hit the switch in the back. All right, got it connected to my Wi-Fi. Gotta go on the Bambu Lab app, scan the QR code. There it is. And the printer is connected to my app. All right, now it's gonna calibrate and I can pull the remaining foam out. So this is actually very interesting. What it's doing right now is active motor noise cancellation. So the print head uses gyros and accelerometers and stuff to actually measure the vibrations of the printer, and then it uses something, I don't know how it works, but it cancels out the motor noise. It's actually insane how well it works. All right, we got calibration complete. Oh, we got a firmware update, of course. All right, so now all the calibrations are complete. Let's load up the AMS, which is the, I think, Automatic Material System stands for. This basically changes colors and does everything for you. So we're gonna need white, we're gonna need black, and we're gonna need blue for the windows. You gotta make sure you cut off the ends so you got a nice straight piece. See how this one's all wavy and curvy? Don't want that. We just go on the screen and input what type of filament it is. So we got generic P to white, then we got generic P to black, and we got generic P to that is blue. All right, so now that we got the printer and everything set up, I'm gonna come find it over here. I named it Bambi 9001 because it's the next one. We got the right printer right here. And then we're gonna do is sync filaments. There we go, the filaments are synced. So we got 1, 2, 3. We're gonna import the model. We're gonna hit F to choose the bottom. And I don't know if you can see, but there's all this faceting on it. I'm gonna have to go back into Maya and add some more polygons, smooth out the model a little more because it's, yeah, these are gonna show up, those lines. But for now, I'm gonna show you how to color the model. So we're gonna go to part, split the parts, right click on the model, split part. Now we have every part of the model. We can start assigning colors with just the keyboard. We can press 1, 2, 3 on the keyboard and it will show the color. And there we go. It's all colored. And then all we do, slice it. Obviously, you're gonna wanna change some settings. I have my settings saved that I use all the time for shift knobs. So for shift knobs, I do 7 perimeters, 6.2 layer height. I put the seam in the back unless the shift knob has edges. And I do 8% gyroid infill because infill does not add strength. And that's about it. I'm just gonna slow down the first layer because with PETG, I think it tends to do a little better on a slower first layer, and that's about it. So we don't have any support material because it's just a sphere. Should be able to print this just fine. There's the purge tower. It's gonna take 9 hours and 50 minutes to print. So I'm gonna fix the model real quick. The printer actually films its own time lapse. You guys will see that time lapse of the whole print, and then once it's done, we'll take a look at it. Overall, turned out perfect. However, I did forget to use adaptive layers. And what that would do is make these layers at the top more fine. I'll probably reprint this someday and make the layers more fine here at the top. And I also gotta change this angle a little bit. You can see the overhang is a little too steep with no supports. There's a little bit of sagging here and some little thingies, but overall, perfect. That's the exact size I wanted, just like a tennis ball. Let's go put this in the car, see how it looks. All right, let's get this old one out. There we go. Oh, that is so nice. I think I'm gonna make it taller though. I'm gonna take the base, the like rocket part of it, and I'm gonna extend it a little bit because my fingers are touching the shifter, so I'm gonna make it a little taller, but we're even now. That's a nice comfortable grip, but yeah, it just needs to be taller, especially when I'm like pulling back. I don't want my fingers touching this. I have the capsule corp facing me. This is where the tapered threads come into play, because now it's not gonna move because the threads are, well, not tapered threads, tapered hole, let's say. Sweet. What do you guys think? Pretty cool? I think it's sweet because it matches my battery box. Obviously, I'm going to be selling this on the website, so if you're interested, go check it out. So that's going to be it for this video, ding dongs. I hope you guys like it. It's very different from the usual content of me just sanding and painting and doing all sorts of random stuff. I've been getting a lot of questions about my modeling process, so I thought I'd make this video to show exactly how I make these things. If you enjoyed this type of narrated video or voiceover video, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, leave a like. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. If you don't know, I 3D printed this entire car, including the front bumper and the wide body. And if you saw that little clip, I am gonna be redesigning the entire rear wide body again. So reprinting it as well as the front bumper. So lots of work still to do, so this stuff's not gonna end. Thank you again to Bambu Lab for sending out the printer. Cannot express how grateful I am to have another X1 Carbon. It's literally the best printer ever. My first X1 Carbon already has 6,000 print hours on it, which is insane. And the only thing I've done on it is put filament in it, grease the rods, clean the carbon rods, and change a couple nozzles, and that's it. It's insane how reliable these printers are. Check out the Bambu Lab printers in the description. Is an affiliate links. If you do end up buying a printer, you are helping the channel out, which I appreciate greatly. Check out the Patreon in the description as well. I now have a Patreon. I ended the YouTube membership because I felt like it was a little difficult for people to actually find the membership and the community and all that. So I think Patreon is a better website to do that kind of thing. So go check out the Patreon. It's only $2 to join to be able to see these videos early as well as exclusive content and all that stuff. So that's gonna be it for this one, ding dongs. Peace out, stay sweet, and I'll see you guys next week.
America, America, beautiful. Do you have your passport?